This is the I4.0 Integration Suite with part 13. We'll show how to generate a PDF report from a web user interface. Reports are needed in many cases. You need them to display key figures, to issue test certificates, to generate consumption statistics, to do billing, to make purchase orders, and so on. There are many tools out there who can do just that, but wouldn't it be easier if you could use your existing Web-HMI editor and user interfaces to design such reports? In this video, we will show you how to do this. We'll show you how to design, how to use a functional block in the Spider PLC, and how to generate a PDF with that, and how to copy the PDF file to various directories.
Okay, so we would like to try to generate a PDF report from an existing HMI. Now, this HMI can be made of several sources. It could be something that we design with the integrated browser-based HMI editor of the I4.0 Integration Suite. It could be an HMI which is designed with our PC HMI editor, or it could even be something like a CODESYS Webvisu version 2 or 3, which runs directly from a PLC. We'll first have a look at the HMI that we did with the existing integrated simple HMI editor. So that could look like this. We can add a couple of functions like bar graphs and text and variables, and we will just add another info field here. We'll exit, we'll press run. So this is how it will look like, and how it would display dynamic variables. We now move over to the function block description programming, and I have added here another sheet to our program which is called generate report. We will open that, and it is already prepared to include the functionality which is needed. So what really does the trick happens up here. We have first a function block which loads the URL. So all these relevant function blocks come from this section, reports. So this is the first URL load view, and the first input is the URL where this HMI comes from. So this is in a subdirectory of this in a subdirectory of this local web server. So if we enter this URL, we'll just see right the HMI which we designed before. We have a trigger logic which will start the loading. So this thing here will call a headless instance of a micro browser which will load this URL. After it reports the done, we will have a timer which waits 5 seconds or something. So this is to give the client the time to update all variables and to show the correct values. After 5 seconds have elapsed, we will call the second functional block, which will make a screen dump to a bitmap file. So this is this functionality which can be found here, this functional block. After this functional block, so as an input we have to give the name of the bitmap. In this case we call it screenshot.bitmap, and this screen dump will be saved to this directory. So it's www/scripts/files. This is the default directory of all of these script functions. After that it will trigger the next function which will generate from this bitmap file a PDF file, and this function is found here. This is this functional block which we can enter here. The first input is the name of the bitmap, which we generated as a screen dump before, and the second parameter is the name of the PDF file that we would like to have. And as I said, because it's a Python script that we're using here, we start here the Python process, which will then execute this. To install Python, there is a description in this doc file, which can be found under www.scripts install python.doc. This will describe you exactly how to install the Python runtime. And you have also to call this install Python libraries once batch to download and install, especially also the library which contains this PDF functionality. And then you can start it. The starting of the process is exactly the same procedure as already presented for JavaScript, or also for the microbrowser instance, which has to be started before too, as shown in our previous video. Additionally, what we've added here is a function which makes a copy. So this is something that we have from here, file copy. So this will copy the file from scripts files to a directory called, which is inside the HMI folder, called HMI files. Like this PDF file that we've generated will be copied to a place which is visible to the web server, to a web client. And this button which we've got here will jump directly to this URL. So it's the HTTP location /file/myreport.pdf. So we will be able to directly jump to that. So let's get started. After we did this programming, we make a build and run, save archive, and start the debugging function. We will jump right to it. Push the trigger, which now starts the microbrowser. So this switches to 1, which means it will now trigger the dump to bitmap, and after that it will call the Python function. We see that our Python process is up and running, has a process ID, so everything is going well. With this trigger, we will copy now the PDF to the visible part of the file system, and we'll jump to it. And so this is our report with the most recent modifications that we just did. The next thing I would like to show is how to create a screen dump from this CODESYS Webvisu. So to do so, we go back to the programming, and I will just change the URL which I prepared here as a constant. So the URL is just what we could see over there. It's an IP address within our local network, and it's called webvisu.htm, like these CODESYS things always do. I will make a build and run, save, and start the debugger again. So open that, and I will trigger and let it load the new HMI. We'll copy that, and hopefully the result will be exactly a screen dump, a PDF copy of CODESYS Webvisu. So that's it for the moment. Thank you for watching.